So if you're watching this video, you've probably got a few errors, and don't worry about that. Assigning variables with inputted values is probably one of the most common errors I see with the novice programmer, because it just doesn't look quite right. And once you get used to doing it, it's just learning it, and then it will be second nature. The important thing to remember is that it is variable name, then assignment operator, then the input function. Lots and lots of times I see this. Let me just do it down here. So this is correct, and then I might see input equals username, and then enter username like this. Now that, if I run this, it's going to throw up an error. It's going to think that I'm trying to, this will work, it will work, it will work, it will work, and then it will get to an error. So I'm just going to put any old thing in here. Okay, so this was work fine. Remember, it's a translator. So with a translator, it will work up until it gets to a point, which is really great for debugging. So it is translating the code line by line. Okay, so it's an interpreter. It's doing that line by line by line. So the interpreter is translating the code line by line until it reaches an error or the end of the program. So here it's got input equals user. User is not defined. It thinks that we're trying to assign this function or variable, maybe called input, to user. It's very confused. So that's the reason why that one is the case. I also see this quite often. So the variable name is first, and then input, and then this, for example, because you're kind of guessing what the user might put in as their name. We don't know what users we may have. We could have 1,000 different users using our program. You can't second guess every single user's name, and that's not the point of it. If we knew them, we would hard code it anyway. The reason why we've got that input is because we're asking the user to enter in value, and they can enter in any value that they like. They could even put in sausages if they want to, and then their name would be sausages. But in any case, we wouldn't put what we're expecting the value to be in there. Leaving it blank isn't a syntax error. However, what would happen is it'd be very difficult for your user to know what actually to type in. It'd just be a flashing cursor, and they wouldn't know what they need to type in. And leaving any brackets out or quotes, as we've already looked at when using the input function, would cause you some errors. So the key thing here is making sure it's variable identifier, variable, assignment, and then the full and correct input function with the full and correct prompt. And that is what you want the user to do. It's a prompt, it's the question. It's the message to the user, and that needs to be in quotes. Okay, so have a go at trying to figure out the errors in the tasks, and then once you've done that, move on to the next section.